proud of the soldiers and the airmen. You gotta remember that a lot of these soldiers, like for example myself, I was called about 7 p.m. on a Friday night and asked if I could be there Saturday at 1 in the afternoon. I majored in KELBY Glass. And I've been assigned as the Support Operations Officer for Task Force Sustainment.
North Carolina is receiving more supplies.
A major spike here in the Carolinas.
From the Strategic National Stockpile to help deal with the novel coronavirus.
Medical supplies and other equipment are coming into North Carolina from the
The number of cases continues to explode here in the state of North Carolina, and that's why the governor...
So if you get to the bare bones of our mission, it's to support our civilian partners. And that's Department of Health and Human Services, and then North Carolina Emergency Management. It's important because like any disaster or operation we do in support of the state, require the National Guard, or you call on the National Guard for two reasons. One is they have unique resources or assets that our civilian partners don't have, or it's to augment resources that we have. And in this case, we're augmenting the state's resources. As far as PPE distribution, we're helping the state manage warehouses, because obviously right now there's a high demand for PPE across the state, and we're helping them distribute that to partners literally across the state. We've been to 95 of the 100 counties.
This has truly been a joint North Carolina Army and Air Guard response. North Carolina Army and Air Guard engineers have assessed dozens of locations for possible alternate care sites. Joint logistic teams continue warehouse operations and the transportation of medical supplies across our state.
I love the camaraderie and seeing also being part of a team, not just with the Guardsmen, but with the community as well, and seeing all these different agencies come together.
Your selfless service and sacrifice in leaving your families to protect the lives and well-being of your fellow Carolinians is humbling and inspiring. Together with our state partners, we are working on many fronts from the mountains to the coast.
Our mission is to get food out to anyone who needs it across these 16 counties. The National Guard stepped in almost immediately to help us. And we are actually operating at beyond maximum capacity. Had it not been for the National Guard, we would not have been able to do what we've been able to do during this crisis.
I am Lieutenant Colonel Kimberly Graham. I'm the lead planner for Feeding North Carolina support during this COVID response. So as COVID started to impact the Carolinas, I think one of the first things that was identified was obviously continuing to keep Carolina moving, and one of the key areas was the feeding. So feeding means a couple things, or means several things to the state of North Carolina. That is from, I think, beginning to end, our supply systems, all the way through how do we get it to the consumer. These food bank operations that we have across the state are heavily reliant upon volunteers. When you have a health crisis like this, you will immediately lose your volunteers. And so there's nobody to move the food. And so having our soldiers and organizing soldiers around being able to help move that food to the food banks has been a critical service that we had to bring online. We've got 6 separate main food banks across the state of North Carolina that we engaged with early on to understand what was their need, how could we help, did they need people, did they need equipment, what did they need to be able to keep moving food through those food banks to continue to feed the individuals that were consuming that. And then part 2 was in our schools. So as schools closed back in the springtime, there are feeding programs that naturally flow through the schools. And as you are no longer have the kids coming to school to get that food, you've got to figure out how to get to the kids. Some of these individuals signed up early, were willing to come on, and have stayed on for the entire time.
What I hope to achieve is that we get the supplies out to those who need them, that we meet the objectives of DHHS and NCEM, and then that we prepare the civilian partners so that when we finally have to leave and go back to our normal jobs in the civilian world, that they're prepared to take on the mission and continue to meet the needs of North Carolina citizens.
I think this is an example that highlights what the National Guard brings to a state. So everybody knows we respond to hurricanes and those type of things, but they don't think about some of these more, what I'd say, are unconventional missions. So I think this is a great example of how we are very adaptable to what our community needs, what our state needs, what our country needs.
On behalf of the entire command team, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your selfless service, dedication to our fellow citizens during COVID-19. Remember, stay disciplined, stay safe, and stay strong. Always ready, ready team.